We'll be listening to the story of Sonia, the orphan girl. Yes, Irena, over to you.
Hello, hello, hello. Namaste to all of you. I don't see anybody, only Madhu. Is anybody here?
Yeah, friends, if you want to turn on your videos, it will be good. Yes,
Please,
Maltiji.
I would love to see your sweet faces. So we can all give the smile around before we listen to the interesting story of Sonia.
Yeah, we can start
I don't
because
see that.
the other friends, they might be joining from US and they might be in work, so they just want to listen. Yeah, they're in their office maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So, what I would like you to do is to make sure that you are sitting in a comfortable place and way. Completely relax your physical body and your mind so that it can be open to receive the wonderful story of Sonia. Because after I have read it to you, I would like you each individually to share your highlight from the story. What has touched you the most? I would like you to share this in the round. And so for this reason, I want to see at least how many people are here. I only see Madhu, Malish. Are you the
There
one?
is there is Maltiji as well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, quick. Okay, I'll do what I came to do. So, this story is from book number 7, and it's called Give Children a Homeland. So, I'm starting. In Ukraine, there is a city called Kharkov. In this city, there is a children's home. It is a fine children's home, comfortable buildings, a handsome aquarium, a large pool. The local authorities made an effort and entrepreneurs helped. The director of the Municipal Office of Public Education showed me the buildings and told me how the children from this home attend an ordinary school. I looked out the window. The children were just coming back from school in groups. Just one little girl was walking apart from everybody else. That's Sonia. She's in the 1st grade, the director told me. She always walks alone. She believes a Jewish family is going to adopt her soon. Why Jewish? She doesn't look like a Jewish child. She has blonde hair and looks more like a Ukrainian. Someone in school told her that Sonia is a Jewish name, so she's a Jew. Sonia agreed with this nationality and immediately decided she was definitely going to be adopted by a Jewish family. But she walks alone all the time because she thinks that if she walks in the group, her future parents won't be able to notice her. Excuse me. There is a fine children's home in Kharkov. There are children's homes in other cities in Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. Children live in them. And no matter how comfortable the buildings of these places are, the children dream of having parents, of belonging to a family. Skinny little first grader Sonia walked her purposeful walk across the asphalt yard in her gray shoes, separately from the others. And children's home girl Sonia dreamed. One day passed, then 2, then months. Sonia still didn't know that children's shelters have existed for a long time and in different countries, and not all the children get adopted. Indeed, most of them are doomed to live without parents. Sonia was not adopted either. However, her life took an unusual turn. At this same time, a group of people, residents of Kharkov, decided to build a settlement not far from the city. They were able to obtain 150 hectares of land, and 120 families, each taking a hectare, were allowed to found their own homesteads. One plot on the edge was left ownerless, and they decided to give it to some children's home child. And as it happened, the choice fell on little Sonia. The child was brought by car along with her instructor to her plot. The instructor began explaining to the child, "You see, Sonia, stakes have been hammered in, and a string strung between them. Behind this string is your land, a whole hectare. It was given to you by people who have also taken a hectare of land next to you and will be planting gardens and building houses on them. When you grow up, you too can build a house and plant a garden. Your land will wait for you." The little girl walked up to the string, touched it, and asked the instructor, "You mean past this string is my land? And past the string, I can do everything I decide myself?" "Yes, dear Sonia, this is your land, and you alone can be in charge of everything that grows on it." "But what will grow on it?" "Well, for now, as you see, there are different grasses growing. But on the neighboring plots, look, people are already planting apple trees and pear trees and many other fruit trees, and they will soon have blooming orchards. When you grow up, you will decide what to plant where on your land, so that it is beautiful the way the others are." Sonia leaned over and crawled under the string into her own hectare of land, took a few steps along the string, looked closely at the grass and at everything bustling and chirping in it. She walked up to a small birch tree growing on the parcel allotted to her and touched its still slender trunk. She turned to her instructor and asked, for some reason a little agitatedly, "And the little tree, the birch tree, is that only mine too?" "Yes, dear Sonia, the birch tree too is now yours since it's growing on your land. When you get older, you can plant other trees here too. But now it's time for us to go. It will be dinner soon, and I have to be in the group." The girl turned to face her plot and looked at it in silence. Those who have children know that while playing, children often mark off for themselves improvised rooms out of various objects or build shelters in the country and play in them. For some reason, each child has a need to mark out his own small world from the larger world, to create their own dimension. The children in the home have shared dimension. This shared dimension, even if it's well arranged, has an oppressive effect on them. Sonia like the other children, had never had her own corner, even a tiny one. Now she stood behind a string where everything was hers alone. The grass, the grasshoppers living in the grass, and the little birch tree. The skinny little girl turned to her instructor. She began to speak in tones of prayer and resolve. I beg of you so much. Please let me stay here. You go, and I'll come back by myself. How will you come back 30 kilometers? I will, Sonia answered firmly. I'll walk and I'll get there. Maybe I'll take a bus. Please let me stay on my land alone. The Ziguli's driver, also an owner of a plot of land near Sonia's, heard the conversation and made a suggestion. Let the girl stay here until this evening. I'll take you back now and get her home this evening. After thinking it over, the instructor agreed. She couldn't help but agree because she looked at the face of the little girl standing behind the string, awaiting her decision. Fine, Sonia. You can stay here until evening. I'll send your dinner with the driver. There's no need to send it. The neighbor woman and I shared dinner, the Ziguli driver said seriously, respectfully pronouncing the words neighbor woman. Listen, Clava, he shouted to them women busy over dinner on the porch of a house under construction. Make dinner for 4. We'll have our neighbor with us today. Fine, the woman answered. There is enough for everyone. And she added, Sonia, you be sure to come to me if you need anything. Thank you, the perfectly happy Sonia replied. After the Ziguli left, Sonia walked along the string strung between the stakes. She walked slowly, sometimes stopping, sitting in the grass, touching something with her little hands, and walking again. In this way, she walked the perimeter of her entire parcel of land. Then she stood in the middle of the hectare and surveyed all the sides of its boundary. And suddenly, spreading her arms wide, she ran, jumped, and spun. After dinner, seeing how tired the little girl was, Clava suggested that she nap on a cot. But the wary Sonia replied, if you can, give me some old clothing to spread out. I'll sleep on my own land, next to the birch tree. And Nikolai set up a cot with a mattress and blanket next to the birch tree on Sonia's plot. The girl lay down and immediately fell into a deep sleep. This was her first slumber on her own homestead. What struck everyone at first as an insoluble problem arose as at the children's home. Every day, Sonia asked the instructor to allow her to go to her hectare of land. Explanations that she was still too little to take the bus herself, and the instructors couldn't take her because they couldn't leave the other children, didn't help. Sonia began talking to the children's home's director. She explained to the director that she absolutely had to go to her land. Had to, because the people on the neighboring parcels were already planting trees, and they would soon have orchards blooming, while her land looked abandoned. Nothing was going to bloom on it. In the end, the home's director found an acceptable solution for Sonia. Right now, we can't take you to your parcel, Sonia, since apart from everything else, you still have 2 weeks of study to go. In 2 weeks, vacation begins, and I will speak with your neighbors. If they agree to look after you, then during the vacation, we will send you off to spend time on your parcel for a week or maybe more. By the way, you could spend these 2 weeks to the benefit of your land. Take these two brochures and read them. One talks about how to make fences, and the other about the varieties of medicinal plants. If you behave well, I will also get you various seeds in time for the vacation. Oh, Sonia behaved well. She did her lessons assiduously, and absolutely all of her free time she spent reading the two brochures given her by the director. When she went to bed, she imagined, pictured how prettily the different plants would grow on her parcel. One day, when all the children slept, the night aide noticed Sonia drawing trees and flowers in the moonlight that came through the window. Her neighbors agreed to look after the girl, and when the summer vacation came, the director himself helped load food supplies for 2 weeks, a shovel, a small rake, and a packet of seeds into the Siguli's trunk. Nikolai didn't want to take the food from the children's home, but the director told him that Sonia was an independent girl and would never want to be a burden to anyone, and that it would be better if she saw that she had her own food. She was also given a new sleeping bag, even though the family of her neighbor Nikolai had prepared a small room and bed for the girl on the now finished first floor of their own house. When Sonia got in the car, not only the children's home staff working that day, but also many people who had come specially to see the girl's face beaming with happiness saw her off. The first 3 nights, Sonia slept in the room set aside for her in her neighbor's house, and she spent the entire day on her own hectare of land. The 3rd day was Nikolai's birthday, and many guests came to see him. One young couple came with their tent. The next day, the guests left, but the tent stayed. "This is a present for you," the young couple told Nikolai. Sonia went up to Nikolai and asked to sleep in the tent. Nikolai gave his permission. "Of course, sleep there if you wanted to so badly. Is it stuffy for you in the room?" "It's nice in the room," the girl replied, "but everyone's sleeping on their own land. Mine is left all alone at night. There are lights on many parcels, and mine is dark." "You're saying you want me to move the tent and set it up on your parcel?" "Very much, Uncle Kolya, next to the birch tree, if you have the time and if it's not too hard." All the following nights, Sonia slept in the tent pitched next to the birch tree on her hectare. Waking early in the morning, she immediately went over to the water bucket by her tent, scooped out a mug of water, taking some into her mouth, released a thin stream of water into her open hands, and washed up. Then she took the album in which she had drawn herself the pictures of her ideal garden on the parcel and examined them. Then she went to make her flower beds and fences. The small digging tool given her by the children's home director was certainly sharp, but Sonia just couldn't push it all the way into the ground. She only had the strength to get it in halfway. However, her fences were turning out anyway. Her neighbor Nikolai offered to dig up the places Sonia showed him on her hectare with his rototiller, but Sonia categorically refused. In general, she reacted jealously to any incursion on her hectare. People sensed this and tried not to cross the border marked out by stakes and the lines strung between them without the girl's knowledge. Even her neighbor Nikolai, when he woke up in the morning to call Sonia to breakfast, only went as far as the string and called to Sonia from there. Some very unusual aspiration of the little girl for independence or fear of being a burden to anyone would not allow her to ask for anything. And even when one of the residents of the settlement tried to offer her clothing or candy or some other supply, she politely thanked them but categorically refused to take anything. In the 2 weeks she spent on her land, Sonia dug, put in 3 fences, and made a large flower bed in the middle. On the morning of the last day of Sonia's 2-week stay on her land, Nikolai came as usual to the border of her parcel to call her to breakfast. The little girl was standing next to her flower bed where nothing had come up yet, looked at it, and without turning around answered, "Uncle Kolya, you don't need to call me to meals today. I don't want to eat today." Nikolai would say that he sensed a certain anguish in the girl's voice and barely restrained sobs, but he didn't try to discover what had happened. He went back home and began observing Sonia through his binoculars. The little girl was walking around her parcel, touching the plants and straightening the fences. Then she went to her birch tree, put her arms around it, and her little shoulders shook. The children's home old minivan came for Sonia just before dinner. The driver stopped by the entrance to Nikolai's homestead and honked. Nikolai recounted what happened then. When I watched her through my binoculars, collecting her modest things, the spade and the rake, and head downcast in our direction, when I saw her face through the binoculars, I couldn't stand it and grabbed my mobile phone. It's a good thing I was able to reach the children's home director right away. I told him I would sign any documents and accept responsibility for the child. I would take leave and be on the parcel all the time, just so the little girl could be on her hectare to the end of vacation. At first, the director began to explain that all the children from their children's home were supposed to go for treatment and rest to a seaside children's camp. The home had been trying for this opportunity a long time, and now the children were going, thanks to their sponsors. I said something brusque to the director, but he didn't take offense and responded equally curtly. Then he added, "Give the driver the phone and tomorrow I'll come myself." I ran out, gave the driver the phone and told him, "Go on, friend. Get going quickly." The driver left. Sonia, who had come up, asked, "Uncle Kolya, was that our van coming for me? But why did it leave?" For some reason, I was powerfully upset from my negotiations with the director, so I lit a cigarette. My hands were shaking, and I said to her, "Well, yes, they were here for you. They just came to ask whether you needed any food or anything else. And I told him we would get along." She looked at me closely, and I thought she understood something. And she said quietly, "Thank you, Uncle Kolya." She started back again and then ran quickly to her land. The children's home director arrived in the morning, but I was already waiting for him. However, he went straight to the tent and not to see me. I didn't have time to tell him he had crossed the string without an invitation, but he did well and guessed himself. He also did well, obviously, not to traumatize the child. He said as soon as the girl came out to meet him, "Good day, Sonia. I came by just to ask you something. We are going to the sea. What about you? Will you stay here or go to the sea with us?" "Here!" Sonia didn't say, but she shouted. "That's what I thought," the director replied. "That's why I brought you by way of food supplies. You mustn't worry or waste your time. I don't need anything. You don't? What would you have me do then? The state gives us money for each pupil, and you are going to raise yourself here and feed yourself. How would you have me account for the state money in that situation? No, you must take it. Be so kind. Come on, Alexei, unload it. Allow us to enter, Sonia. Maybe you'll show me what you've been doing. For a while, Sonia looked at the director, trying to make full sense of the situation. Then she saw the van driver unloading heavy bags. And when she finally realized she was going to stay on her land until the end of vacation, she exclaimed joyfully, "Oh, what am I doing? Come in. Here's the little gate. There's no string here. Please be my guest. I'll show you what I've been doing. And you, Uncle Kolya, come in." She led us to her tent and immediately offered us water to drink from the bucket standing by the tent. "Here is the water. I get it from the spring. It tastes good, better than from the tap. Drink some, please." "I won't refuse," the director replied, and scooping out half a mug, drank it with pleasure. It's good. I too had a drink, and so did the driver, and we praised Sonia's water to her great satisfaction. Probably for the first time in her life, Sonia possessed something all her own. Even if it was just water, it was hers. And for the first time, she could give something all her own to grown-ups. Sonia had begun to feel that she was part of the world. Then, for an hour and a half, maybe even two, we listened to Sonia's enthusiastic story about what she had already planted and what she planned to plant. She showed us her drawings of a future homestead, only there was no little house in her drawing plans. "Time for us to go," the director told Sonia. "You can unpack these things here yourself. I also brought you a battery-powered lamp. It can light for distance, but if you switch the lamp to daylight, then you can read. And now you will have something to read. I've brought you magazines on designing land and books on growing everything and on folk medicine." "Oh, how could I forget again?" Sonia threw her hands up. "I'll be right back." She folded back the tent flap, and we saw bundles of different herbs hanging on a string stretched across the tent. She took several bundles and held them out to the director. "This is celandine. It's a kind of herb. This is for Katya from our group. She needs to brew it and drink it. She's sick a lot. I read about it in the brochure you gave me. I tried it. Thank you." All in all, this director is a good man and loves the children. Later, he and I talked, and he asked me about Sonia's behavior and gave me some practical advice. Sonia spent the whole summer in the tent on her hectare of land. Her flower bed bloomed in the middle with beautiful flowers. Onions, radish, and other things came up in her beds. In the evenings, when the days started getting shorter, you could often observe the light of the lamp flickering in the tent under the birch. Every evening, Sonia read the books on folk medicine and kept drawing in her album the future of her land. When at the end of the summer the old van came to take her back to the children's home, I helped load Sonia's supplies. There was quite a lot to load. She had dried 200 or so bundles of herbs, a sack of potatoes, 3 melons. We really loaded up that van. I asked her, "What about next year? Should I hold on to your tent?" "I'll definitely come for the next vacation. I'll come to my land the very first day. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, Uncle Kolya." She held out her hand, now much stronger, to shake. Over the summer, too, Sonia had herself not only had tanned, but also had become stronger and much more self-confident. She came the next year with fruit tree saplings and some seedlings and immediately got down to work. At an assembly, the people of our settlement decided to build Sonia a little house. Zina, the wife of an entrepreneur who had built the largest house, began to insist it not be small. Oopla. I'd be ashamed to look people in the eye. Everyone in the settlement is laying foundations for palaces, and the one and only child is living in a tent. Guests come, and who knows what they think of us. Knowing the little girl's ways and her sensitivity to any kind of charity, they assigned me to negotiate with her about building a house. So I went to see her and said, Sonia, at an assembly, the people of our settlement decided to build you a little house. You just tell us where to put it. She asked me rather guardedly, Uncle Kolya, how much will a small house cost? Suspecting nothing, I replied 200,000, more or less, 2,000 per family. 2,000? But that's a great deal of money. That means people will buy less for their own children. They'll be spending money on me. Uncle Kolya, I beg of you, tell the people I don't need a house yet. I still haven't even decided where to put it. I beg you, Uncle Kolya, explain it to the people, please. She was upset, and I understood why. Having been given her own hectare, Sonia felt independent for the first time in her life. It took the place of parents for her. If it needed her, and by some inner instinct, the girl felt and imagined that her land wouldn't want a stranger to touch it. And God forbid anyone should reproach her after the house was built, even with a silent reproach to Sonia. Her own independence was more precious to her than a house of her own. I began trying to persuade them not to force any gifts on the girl. And soon after, something unexpected happened. Children ran from the lake past Sonia's parcel, and in the lead on a fancy bicycle was Idik, the entrepreneur's son. He was always teasing Sonia, calling her Shorty, even though he himself was just 3 years older. Hey, Shorty, Idik shouted to Sonia. Still busy with your landscape design? Aren't you tired of it? Why don't we go see the spectacle? What spectacle? Sonia asked. My papa is going to burn down his construction hut now. See over there? The fire engine's already come, just in case. Why burn it down? Because it's spoiling the view. But after it burns, nothing will grow on the land for a long time. Why not? Because all the helpful worms and all the bugs will burn up. Look, I lit a fire near my tent, and now nothing's growing on that spot. Wow, you're very observant, Shorty. So save our worms. Take the old trailer, or else my papa won't know where to dump it. How can I take it? Isn't it heavy? How? With a crane, of course. There's a crane coming here the day after tomorrow to put up a windmill. Basically, take it away, or there's going to be a very grand bonfire here now. Okay, Edik, I agree to take your trailer. Let's go then. Grown-ups, neighbors, and lots of the children had gathered by the homestead of Edik's parents. The fire crew stood at the ready. Right then, Edik walked up to his father, who was walking towards the construction hut with a canister of gasoline, and said, to the displeasure of the kids and the joyous amazement of the grown-ups, Papa, you don't have to burn down the trailer. What do you mean I don't? Why is that? Because I gave it away. Who to? Shorty. What Shorty? You know, Sonia, from the last parcel. Really? She agreed? She agreed to take it from you? Papa, if you don't believe me, you'd ask her yourself. Edith took Sonia by the hand from the midst of the crowd of children and led her to his father. Tell him you agree to take the hut. Tell him. I agree, Sonia replied. The entrepreneur couldn't hide his bursting pride in his son. This was wonderful. Willful Sonia wouldn't take anything from anyone and agreed to take the present only from his Edith. When the kids had scattered, the entrepreneur called over the entire crew working on finishing the house, and he told them, use any materials, work around the clock. I'll pay double, but I want there to be a Euro apartment inside this hut in 2 days. The outside can be peeling, but inside. 2 days later, on Sonia's parcel, next to the birch tree, on the spot where her tent had been, the peeling construction trailer had been placed on a brick foundation. It was peeling, but had been prepped by the builders for painting, and the finished paint and brushes were inside. Sonia painted it herself later. The first house of her own in her life, standing on her own land. The next year, this house was transformed into a fairy tale cottage, entwined with ivy and wild grapes and surrounded by blooming flower beds. 10 years passed. Sonia had graduated and had been living on her own homestead for a year. Houses had gone up in the settlement, which was drowning in greenery and blooming gardens. But Sonia had the very best, the most beautiful plot of all. When her classmates left the children's home, retreating into oblivion, trying to matriculate at some educational institute, just so it had a dormitory to find some kind of job, just so they would have enough to feed themselves, Sonia was already a wealthy person. The settlement's residents gave their excess fruits and vegetables to a manager. The crop yield from the homesteads was bought up at a fairly high price and exported to countries of the European Union, to special stores selling organic food. Sonia, too, gave the manager what she had raised on her homestead, although most of her produce went to people who came to her directly from the city, having heard about that unusual girl and her marvelous homestead. Sonia also gathered medicinal herbs and helped cure many people of illness. One day, Edik came to visit his parents, who now lived on their homestead year-round. He had studied at a prestigious American university for 3 days. He faced a difficult medical operation. The overseas water and food had probably created problems with his liver and kidneys. Before the operation, Edik decided to spend a week with his parents. Zenaida, Edik's mother, suggested, "Son, maybe we should go see our local healer. Maybe she can help." "Oh, Mama, what century are we living in? There in the West, medicine has long been at the highest level. The diseased tissue needs to be cut out and replaced. Don't worry, I'm not going to any of those old medicine women. That's the century before last." "I'm not suggesting you go to any old women. Remember the little girl from the children's home at the edge of our village, who, to everyone's amazement, herself worked the hectare of land given her? Let's go see her." "You mean Shorty?" "I vaguely remember. There's no Shorty now, son, but a highly respected person. Managers are prepared to pay for her double for what she raises with her own hands, and people come from faraway places for her herb harvest, even though she puts out no advertising whatsoever." "How does Shorty know so much?" "Since first grade, She was brought to her plot every summer, and every winter she read different books every day on agriculture and folk medicine. The child mind is keen and absorbs everything well. She has gleaned a great deal from books, of course. Holy people say she has understood more by herself. They also say she understands plants. She talks to them. How about that, Shorty? How much does she charge for treatment? Sometimes she charges, and sometimes she treats people for free. Last fall, I met her near the pond. She looked into my eyes and said, Auntie Zina, there's something wrong with the whites of your eyes. Take this herb, make an infusion, and drink it. It will pass. And it did. The whites of my eyes really did have something wrong because my liver did. Now it doesn't. Come, son, let's go. Maybe she will help your liver too. Oh, it's not just my liver, Mama. I already have a diagnosis. They're going to remove a kidney. None of your infusions are going to help here. Actually, let's go. It'll be interesting to see Shorty's homestead. People say it's like heaven. Yeah, she's done a great job, Edic said, unable to restrain his admiration as he and his mother approached Sonia's homestead. While the people in the settlement were putting all their efforts into building houses and stone walls, she was creating a true paradise. Look at the fence she grew from greenery, Mama. If you saw her orchard, you would admire her even more. But she lets very few people into her orchard, Zenaida remarked. She opened the gate slightly and called out, Sonia, if you're home, come out. Sonia, are you home? The door of the little house, the former construction shed, opened, and a young woman came out on the front step. With a smooth gesture, she put her tight, dark blonde braid behind her shoulder. She saw Zenaida accompanied by her son, and her cheeks flushed rosily. She buttoned the top button of her blouse, which swathed her firm breast, and with a soft, light, and at the same time graceful gait, the young beauty went down the stairs and headed down the path toward the gate where Zenaida and Edith were standing. Hello, Auntie Zina. Welcome, Edward. Come into my house or orchard if you like. Thank you for the invitation. We would be pleased to come in, Zenaida replied. Edith said nothing, not even hello. You know, Sonia, Zenaida continued talking on the way to the orchard. My son has a problem and he faces an operation. Although they will operate on him in America, still, I'm worried as a mother somehow. Sonia stopped, turned, and asked Edith, what hurts you, Edward? My heart, Edith replied in a constrained way. What do you mean, your heart? Zenaida exclaimed. You told me it was your liver and kidney. You mean you lied to reassure me? I didn't lie. But now my heart is pounding, Mama. Here, feel how it's pounding. He took his mother's hand and pressed it to his chest. Listen, it's going to burst if you don't convince this young beauty to marry me this instant. What a joker, Zenaida laughed. You nearly frightened your mother to death. I am not joking, Mama, Edith replied seriously. Well, if you are not joking, Zenaida continued gaily, then know that half the settlement has already sent their matchmakers to see Sonia for their sons, but all without result. She doesn't want to marry. Go ask her why she doesn't, and stop misleading your mother. Edith walked up to Sonia and asked her quietly, Sonia, why don't you want to marry anyone? Because, Sonia answered quietly, because I was waiting for you, Edith. You jokers, why are you making fun of a mother? Bless us, Mama, immediately. I'm not joking, Edith said firmly, and he took Sonia's hand. I am not joking either, Auntie Zina, Sonia said seriously. You are not joking? You mean you do, Sonia? You are not joking? So, if you're not joking, why are you calling me Auntie instead of Mama? Fine, I will call you Mama, Sonia answered in a trembling voice, and taking a step towards Zenaida, she stopped in hesitation. Zenaida could not make sense right away of what had happened. Was it a trick? A joke? She gravely shifted her gaze from Sonia's face to her son's and back again. At some point, she understood the seriousness of the young people's intentions. And when she did, she rushed to Sonia, embraced her, and began to weep. Sonia, dear daughter, I realize you are serious. Sonia's shoulders began to tremble as she pressed close to Zenaida, and she repeated, Yes, Mama, I'm serious. Yes, very serious. So then the young couple took each other's hand and slowly, not noticing anyone around them, started down the streets of the settlement to the homestead of Edic's family. Ahead of them walked Zenaida. She was laughing and crying simultaneously and chattering non-stop, running to everyone she met. We arrived, and right away they fell in love, and right away I blessed them. But first I thought it was a joke. But right away they fell in love. I said to me, a wedding, Mama, today. Good people, how can this be? We have to prepare. It has to be official. We can't do things this way. Yeah. And so, and if they they got married to live happily ever after. And I realized the time is almost up. And just maybe quickly, everyone can chip in. What's your take on this story?
Wow. That's really, really wonderful, Irena. And from the beginning till the end, the character, the personality that Sonia carries is really, really amazing, and it is giving a message not only to the children but also to us adults that how to be independent, how to take care of our own self, and as well as like everything around. And when the entrepreneur was supposed to burn the house, so she was very concerned about the worms and everything. That is, I mean, being mindful of not only, being mindful of the nature and the environment where she's living and how it is troubling Mother Earth. That concern that she has for all of them is really, really amazing. And the offer that she had taken from them, that is how she had accepted, because she don't want the worms to die, so she accepted that home. It's really, really amazing. And how she was waiting for Edic as well. It's so amazing. It is really, really, I enjoyed thoroughly. And it's a message also to the parents that to leave the children to themselves, and to be themselves, and not to put our ideas, not to enter their territory, like not to enter their territory, and just explore, whatever they want to explore. Just give them a freedom to explore, like the uncle, that neighbor uncle was doing, and the director was doing. They were just like supporting her, like not interfering with her, but just supporting her in various ways. So it is really, really beautiful story, and I'm very happy that I've heard this story. Thank you so much, Irena. And your way of expression is really, it's a treat to the eyes, actually. I mean, like, though we are listening, it's like we could able to picture everything in front of us. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm enjoying this story so much every time I read it. you know, and what stands out for me is the incredible respect that the adults, all the adults, have for her. They respect her like not like a minor, but like an equal being in full capacity of taking care of herself. And they respected her space completely, even though I think when she started out, what's grade 1? I think maybe she was 7 or 8 years old, you know, and wow.
She's too small and she could able to do so much, and that too not taking any help, like maybe little help, but not too much. And she did everything on her own. It is really amazing, amazing. So
She
thank you.
was she was one of a kind, Yani,
True.
I think, I mean, probably not all children are like that, but it's worth exploring that and finding out.
I think it's all children are like that. It's just the parents that put pressure on the children, that right from the beginning we make them don't do this, don't do that, so that is how like we are just imposing our ideas and our fears on the children. So if we don't do that, they are very natural. So all the children are very natural and they explore with
Yeah,
themselves. So yeah.
yeah. Let us hope that there will be a time when every child has that liberty to be their own sovereign selves from the beginning.
Right.
So anybody else around to chip in their own?
Yes, Mamtaji, you want to share? Yeah.
Yeah, I thank you, Irena. It was a wonderful narration. It was like a fairy tale, and Sonia was really an angel, very good at heart, and the ending was wonderful. She found her love, and very, very nice.
Yeah. Well,
It was wonderful. Thank you.
able to complete the story because I was watching the time. Well, there's not all that much left, but still, I feel every little detail in the story has an important message, you know, about the way the people do things in a culture that is still valuing tradition, you know, and not throwing all the good things from the tradition overboard, just like that, like we did in the West. So thank you. Yeah, I'm happy you liked it.
Very much. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Maltiji, you want to share something? Right. Yes, Irena. What's happening next week? What are you giving us? What treat are you giving us?
Well, no, I think I would. It would make sense to complete the story,
Right.
and then there is, right after this story, there is another story of how a prison gets transformed.
Wow.
It's amazing,
Wow.
and the way Vladimir creates the stories is so beautiful. So this is what the next thing. Bless you. Next thing I would like to offer you, if
Perfect.
if that's what you want to hear.
Perfect.
It's also an amazing story, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Irena.
Okay.
Right.
Please, people, show your faces again. I don't want to look at the black screen. And yeah, my sister Madhu is here, but I want to see my other sisters as well.
You don't see, because I see Mamtaji,
I
I
don't
see
see,
Maltiji, or maybe you do.
because
Can you?
I'm doing from my mobile so that I can
Okay.
read text on the.
Maybe you just move it, slide it, and then you will see everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, Irene. Hi, Madhuji.
Let me
This
let me
is
put my.
Varna.
Yeah, Irena, you are on mute. Try now. Yeah. Nice
Yeah.
one, Nanji.
So good to see you, Swarna.
Good to see you, Irena. Beautiful reading. Wow, what a amazing story reader you are, storyteller. You are attracting us. You're influencing us.
That's good. But what about this story? Thank you.
Yeah, I joined late, and yeah, the last part that I heard was very influencing. The bravery she got, and the healing power she got, and how her name, the childhood name, that really made me so very loving name. What is that name she had? Not the
Shorty.
sorry.
Shorty. Shorty.
Yeah, shorty.
Eddie
I don't
calls her
know.
Shorty. Mm.
Is it a shorty means a short, or I don't know what is that?
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
you're short, like you little one, kind of.
Little
Yeah.
one. Yeah, exactly. So how she is attracting everyone. She could, she grown to that level, where everybody can, come and cure themselves. So it's really beautiful. Exactly. When we are in this journey, and no matter what, no matter how much struggles we face, still with brave we walk on this path, we're going to acquire those qualities, and definitely we will spread the peace. May not be healer, may not be, but whatever we are, definitely will bring a change to the surrounding.
Yeah, to the world.
Exactly, to the world in a
No,
whole.
yeah. I think the essence of Sonia's character or Sonia's ways was the determination that she had from the very beginning when she saw this land and it was declared to her that this is your land and you can do whatever you want in this land. And she started right away, you know.
Exactly.
She
And
did
we all can,
it, you know. Beautiful.
Yeah.
true.
I
And
think,
we all can acquire from where we are right now. Yeah, oh, I was like this, but you can start today. You can determine today that I want to, no matter what, I will follow this book, or I will follow this person or personality. If we have that determination, you can still start today.
But the point is, she didn't follow any personality. She followed her own inner.
guidance.
Correct, exactly. Because, yeah, true. But, whoever is, to start on this journey, we need something to hold on, right? So it's a beginning journey. Maybe we can take someone as a role model, like for us, like maybe Sonia is teaching us so many lessons. So maybe we can follow her, and slowly, once you are there, then you can create your own path.
Yeah, I get you.
Mhm. Thank you.
We get inspired, kind of. No. That,
Exactly. Yeah. To hold on to someone, right? During your, traveling, during your journey. So thank you. You're influencing us, right? See, no matter how busy we are, always we feel, oh, let's at least join right now, get whatever is left, right? And even one sentence that touches us, that's enough to live for that day, right? So
thank you,
thank you.
Parnaji.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Irina ji. I love you.
May the light explode in your minds and bring out the best and the very best of all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I just want to tell to our friends here, Swarnaji and Mamtaji, you have missed most of the story. So there is a YouTube link, so you can just go through it and listen to the story from the beginning. If you listen, it is amazing. It is really, really amazing. We can take, as Swarnaji says, we can take a lot of lessons from Sonia's life. Yeah.
Thank you, Madhuji. Definitely, I'm going to listen that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Namaste.
See you, Irena. Thank you so much once again, Irena.
On all of you and all of us. And a beautiful journey.
Thank you.
See you next
Namaste.
next
See you.
Thursday, same place, same time. Okay?
Yeah. All
Yep.
right.
All
Yeah.
right.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Madhuji.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.